Alright. Okay, in
Okay,
your video,
wait.
I...
I have
Okay.
just something I want to say about your video first. Would you agree that we have rules that we must follow? Would you agree with that? That we have rules that we should follow?
Yeah, yeah, we have some rules that we should follow. I
Well,
mean, anybody...
regardless if you like Sneeko or not, it seems evident that he violated terms of services, which led to YouTube to take action against him.
My problem more so with that is that I'm just not for like censorship. Even if I disagree with what the person is saying, I feel like once you start advocating for people to be banned, then it only brings more problems. Because I mean, fair enough. You don't have to like Nick Fuentes, you don't have to like Sneeko, but once one of them gets banned, then I mean, it can only go further down. I mean, this was been shown
That
time and
that's
time
that's
again.
how that's how terms of services work. If you violate them, action will be taken against you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but just because that there's like a term of service there doesn't mean I'm automatically gonna justify people getting deplatformed and then them having
That's what terms
nowhere
of
to speak
services
at all.
are. But that's literally what
Alright, alright.
if you sign up for a website, you acknowledge and agree with those terms of service, and if you break them, they have the right to terminate you.
I did not come in here to debate free speech, dude. I came in here for another reason.
Well,
Unless that's what...
I'm just addressing one of the points you made in your video where you said, "Oh, you didn't like what he said."
I just said...
But in reality,
Yeah,
what he said was, which he clearly broke the terms of service, right? Because
I mean,
YouTube does not allow hate speech against any of these
alright,
groups: age, caste, disability, ethnicity, race, nationality, gender, or even victims of major events. And Sneeko
alright.
claimed that Jewish people control all the money in the world while platforming a Holocaust denying white nationalist, Nick Fuentes.
I mean, you can find them cringe. Again, my whole thing is I find it cringe. Disagree with everything they're saying, but I think a discussion should be had. Like, if he's bringing on other people to go against him, like bringing on people like Destiny, or bringing on other like willing to have a conversation, then I don't see. I mean, as much as I understand that, if people are willing to actually try to argue this stuff, then I think it should be
But
able to
Sneeko,
happen.
but the Sneeko was agreeing with Nick Fuentes.
Sneeko does. I think I don't really. Again, I don't really follow Sneeko, so that's why I was more so like just glaring by it because I was like, I don't want to go research this guy. But
Well, all you need
pretty
to
much
do
when
is look at the clip to understand what he said.
yeah, I seen him like when I watch some other stuff, like he agrees with Nick on a bit of stuff, which is pretty
Like the
interesting. But
Jews running controlling the money,
I find that whole thing cringe. I'll be honest, and I think,
and it
but then again,
kind of breaks the rule terms of service.
I mean, yeah, but it's different than you being. It's. I feel like if you titled the video, like Nico, like should be called out or something like that, over he should be banned because once you
Well, he
throw
broke the
out
terms of
like,
service. If you break the
well,
terms of service, you should be banned.
all right.
That's how terms of
I,
service work.
I mean, I'm just for having the ability to speak their minds, no matter how controversial it is.
Well, they
So
do
that's
because free speech protects you from the government, and he's not being silenced by the government. Well,
well, okay. So
except for
he's just
Nick
being taken
Fuentes.
off one of his big. He's just gonna get taken off one of his biggest platforms.
Yeah, that's
That's
completely
definitely not
justified.
gonna affect him at all.
Well, yeah, if you break the terms of service, you're going to be banned. That's how terms of service works. You
Okay,
sign a
but
contract. You sign
again, it
when
is
you create
literally
a YouTube account.
silencing them.
When
So,
you create a YouTube
so that's
account, you agree to this. Agree to the contract. So
okay.
okay.
So,
So
I
have you ever heard of formal logic?
far more. I don't think so. No.
Well, it's basically like
Let's-
if you agree with all the statements, then all of them must. Then the conclusion must be true. Basically, that's like
All right. All right.
so. We have rules that we should follow. YouTube has terms of service. Sneeko claimed that Jewish people control the money in the world while platforming a Holocaust denying white nationalist leader Nick Fuentes. So therefore, Sneeko violated terms of service, hate speech. So therefore, the conclusion must be correct. Do you agree with that?
All right. I have to ask another question. Let's say you brought on somebody who you would say is like more and more so left leaning, like the opposite. Would you also argue that communists who go on there and say we should kill like Nazis, stuff like that, should they be banned, or would you
Well,
say that it's
if they are
primarily
directly calling for the deaths of others, then yes, that would
okay?
be
Okay, at least
threats.
okay, you're consistent on
That's
it. So
how
that's
terms of
okay.
service work. Yeah.
I mean, it's fair, as long as you're consistent. Because if you said no to that, but then say yes to this, I'm just like, okay. But really, where I just stand on it is like yes, call it out, like go at them, but I just feel like once banning, again, I'm just not for a censorship of any like really much kind unless it's necessary, and I just don't see how exactly this is necessary because more
Okay.
often than not, because people can come to their own conclusions on this stuff. People are automatically going to jump and be like, you know what? I agree with everything Sneeko and Nick are saying. Most people are just watching because it's either entertaining or they're just trying to see trying to learn something else, but not really take on all the ideas that he's saying in his streams. So I don't know.
So you just don't care about the terms of service, even so you don't want to like.
I I say if you went on stream and was like, we need to get rid of all Jews and stuff like that, then I would definitely be standing with you. Like, okay, that's
He
insane.
just said
Like,
a conspiracy theory saying that they control the money,
yeah,
which is a
that's. I
neo-Nazi
mean, again,
conspiracy theory.
but again, it's like if he isn't calling for violence and he isn't calling for extremities, then
So
I just
you're
don't
just
know
okay
exactly.
with Nazis. Okay, got it.
I mean, I'm fine if I'm fine with communists being on the app, then I'm gonna have to be fine with
I
Nazis.
mean, those are
But
different, but whatever. Okay.
all
Okay.
right. Now,
So let's get on to gay people. Let's do that now. Well, so here is why I believe it's important for kids at all ages to know at the age we've talked about in my video and then your video as well. Um,
all
so
right.
it is important for kids at that age to know LGBTQ plus people exist because they need to be aware of the diversity in the world. LGBTQ plus people are a part of that diversity, and it is important for kids to understand that they exist, that they are normal people. Kids who know LGBTQ plus people are more likely to not to be accepting and supportive of them, and they are less likely to be discriminated against them.
All right. I hear that. I mean, but I'm just of the belief that I wouldn't go tell a toddler that they need about LGBT. I feel like it's not important because in that age they're probably not even going to process it, which is I
So,
think something you can agree. Like they probably
so,
will not process what LGBT is.
so you're
So
asking why should we value this then, right?
I'm I'm more so. I mean, okay. I'll argue that in teen shows it's probably way more important because when you're like 14, 15, like you probably of the age where you can at least comprehend it. When I
Well,
see it in a show that's like 3 or 4 year olds or 5 year olds, I just find it
well,
insanely forced because
I'm glad you.
even if
Oh, sorry. Good. Continue.
you go,
Well, I'm glad you brought up the teen show. Okay. There are many reasons why
yeah,
we should show LGBTQ shows to children as opposed to just teens and adults. One reason is that children are more likely to be influenced by what they see on TV than teens and adults. And if you a study by the Kaiser Family Foundation found that children aged 8 to 18 spend at least 7.5 hours a day watching TV shows and playing video games. That means that they are exposed to a lot of TV programming, which can influence their attitudes and beliefs. Finally, children are more likely to be open to learning about LGBTQ plus people and their experiences. This is not because this is because they are still learning about the world and are not completely set.
all right,
And
okay.
wait,
A
can I just
question
say
of
the reason why I bring up the eight to like the age like 8 is because you brought up a show called The Owl House, which if you didn't know is for 7-year olds.
fair enough, fair enough. I mean, it's premised to be more for. Well, I guess most of the fan base I see is like probably around like 12 or something
Oh yeah,
older.
I
But
would know. I'm a
that
part
is
of the fan base.
yeah. It's like it's more for teens, but it's like premised to like seven. I mean, most of the points I'm really trying to like bring up is like I'm not gonna be like a Cheeto where I'm like it's all bad. Like of course, like if a parent tells their kid about it. But I feel like LGBT has some aspects of it that can come across as like sexual, and it's not exactly like
All right.
it's okay. Like for instance, would you if a 5 year old came up to you, like a 6 year old came up to you, and they said they were gay, would you believe that they could understand and comprehend that they
Well, they,
are,
well,
or would you just laugh it
they
off?
probably wouldn't really know that terminology. What they would probably know is, hey, I got a little crush on another little boy or another little girl.
But do you see where the issue comes in with that though? It's like
Do you not think
they're
that?
trying to.
Do you not think little children can have crushes?
No, I'm saying developing sexuality is fine, but I feel like it should be more so. I feel like it shouldn't be directly influenced. Like I cringe when parents try to make their kids be a certain way. So I feel like when TV's kind of doing that, where they're
Wait,
like showing kids all
wait.
that.
Do you
I
think like? Do you think that like shows make kids gay? Like, do you think that's how it works?
No, no, okay, no, no, no. What I more so mean is when, as you say, kids are growing up more around TV, more around watching and developing through like seeing these mediums. So I'm saying if it's constantly in their faces, especially at the age of 5 or like 4, they're gonna go lean more towards it. So
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say is
because they'd be more open to it. Which you're
it's
born gay, so in reality, it would just mean you understand the concept slightly more, and eventually you'll understand yourself better if you are born gay.
I'm just of the belief that the kids of that age shouldn't be worrying about their sexuality in the first place. I think it should just
Ooh,
be more
I'm glad
so
you brought that up because I have something for
shouldn't be
that
worrying
too.
about it. Because even
Toddlers
if
don't think about their sexuality. Let's get into
I'm not
that.
saying they don't think about it, I'm not saying they don't think about it. I'm just saying that it should not be the main focus. Like it should not be this important. Like when I was growing up and watching shows, like SpongeBob, I wasn't thinking, "Hey, is Patrick gay?" or it's like, "Oh, is Sandy gay?" I wasn't
You,
thinking that. I was just like,
but
"This is a funny
in
show."
children's shows, there are plenty of heterosexual couples.
Okay, and I find that to be when they force it in. I'll agree. I feel like that shouldn't have been propped up in shows like this because
Ah,
again, the whole premise should just be entertainment instead of bringing in
so you don't think there should be couples in TV shows at all. So there shouldn't be mom and a
more.
dad. There shouldn't be a
No,
dad and a
no,
dad.
not that, not that. I'm saying when it comes to like the okay, all right, I see what you're trying to do, but when it comes to Our House, right? It's when it was happening. It's like, of course, like the fan base. We're in the. Me and you are both like fans of the show. It's kind of like okay, it was a semi-natural thing, but of course, it was a premise for more teens than it would you say like 5-year-olds. Like a 5-year-old isn't really gonna go gravitate towards the outhouse and understand it. But
But they can enjoy
when I
it
look at
and
some,
see that there are
yeah,
two girls who are dating and see that it's okay.
okay. But when you go to Blue's Clues, it's like they're trying to figure out mystery, like solve basically clues. So I feel
Yeah,
like when there's a whole episode about a pride parade,
it
it
wasn't
doesn't
a whole
even fit
episode.
with the show.
It was a segment.
Sorry, well, it still shouldn't have been thrown in at all because it has nothing to do with the actual show. So that's like kind of where my issue lies. Like if it can play into and make it seem like it's a natural thing, that's different than it being straight up just thrown in.
It was
Like
just
with
the video was just a lesson on how all families are different, but they all love each other.
and that's I mean that's fine, but again, I find that whole thing cringe. I'm like toddlers don't need to know it. Like again, toddlers. I think
Why
at
shouldn't
the end of
they?
the day,
Why shouldn't they know that?
because I mean if okay, because I asked you earlier, like if a 5-year-old if a 5-year-old said they were gay, like how would you react to that? And you would be like, well, they can have crushes. And
Yeah,
my issue,
they would not understand that. They probably wouldn't use that term. They wouldn't understand that term because that's more of a term you. That term is more like what you would use when you're older, but they could still have crushes when they were young.
yeah,
Because
but do
gay
you,
people exist since they're born.
yeah, all right. So where my issues really lie is how far exactly are you going to go? Like, do you think if they did the episode a bit differently, like where maybe they had like brought back Steve or something, and maybe he
He's bald.
explained it in a
Can't bring him back.
more
He's in college. They can't
oh,
bring him back.
sorry, no, but let's say they did bring on somebody who was to the likes of him, and they had him explain it, and maybe not as in your face way, but it still
They did.
showed
Well,
respect to it. Would you have been? Would you,
They did bring someone on to explain it, and
well, okay, and they brought a whole pride parade with them as
yeah,
well,
and
which is
and the whole
which is
pride
which
parade.
is another issue.
The
It's
whole
thrown in.
the whole pride parade was to show that all families come in all shapes and sizes, but that's okay.
But again, we're talking. They're talking to literal 5-year-olds. Shouldn't they have like somewhat of like a serious, or even semi like less I oh my god. Like, okay, with the whole problem is like as a Cheeto was saying, is like there's like a bunch of pride flags in it. There's like BLM stuff in it. It's like a
Okay.
bunch of
Can I
like
just
different.
that fist? The reason why that is used is because it's a very common fist that represents the people, and the different skin tones is meant to represent like different people of color being accepted into the LGBTQ plus community. Because historically, both of these movements never really join together, but um, people of color are accepted in the LGBTQ plus community now.
But okay, do you not see how this is come across like a pandering in a weird, strange way though? Because even so, okay,
I'm completely fine with gay people and people of color existing in TV shows for children.
I think it's fine existing in TV shows for what you're failing to understand is like I'm a part of the LGBTQ. I just didn't bring it up in my video because like I don't find it important. But how
Because
I
it would
see
be
it
identity
is
politics, and
yeah,
you didn't want to
exactly. Yeah. So it's more like when you take a look at it, I'm just like, when I discovered it, I was like a bit older. I was somewhat dealing with like the feelings, and I was like, okay. But if I was like 5 thinking that would be like an entirely different process. I just think when it comes to that stuff, maybe they could bring it up, maybe show couples, maybe show different aspects. Like, I mean, I'll give some credit to the Loud House because they did it in a way that wasn't straight up in your face.
Clyde's parents.
Yeah,
And
I
yet
didn't even
people
really.
still got outraged by that.
Yeah, that was cringe. I'll agree, that was false outrage. I mean, but it wasn't as in your face and wasn't as forced. That's what I more so mean. Like, they should go about it where it's just
I have a
natural than
question.
it should
What
be.
does forced mean? Like, what in this
Okay,
context? What does forced mean?
I'll bring up the Loud House sample. When it was like shown they had 2 dads, right? You barely would even notice it as a kid. Like, I didn't even notice it, and I didn't see anything too bad with it. I just said, okay, this is just something in the show.
Well,
And then when you
he has 2 dads. Wouldn't that be
yeah,
forced?
right. Yeah. Well,
Like
what
they're
I mean,
forcing it down your throat because there's 2 gay people.
well, no, what I mean, I would rather that than an entire Pride Parade put in a segment of a Blue's Clues episode.
But why is it bad for the children to learn that families come in all shapes and sizes?
I'd rather them like not try to like tell their I'd rather them not try to tell kids that of that age again. Tell kids of that age that oh yeah, look at this. Like, hey, it's in your face now. You gotta like.
I have a question.
Hmm?
What about interracial couples? Would that
I don't think
shoving it down their throats?
I don't think I wouldn't really care about that, but
so why do you care about gay couples then?
Oh, why I care about gay couples is because I think there's something inherently sexual with like when you go into LGBT. Because when you describe it, okay, so when you describe, okay, then what is being gay? I'll ask you that. What is being
having attraction to being gay is a man being attracted to another man.
Exactly. So it plays into attraction.
What is that?
It is being that plays into being attracted. Both of those.
So therefore, straight people should be banned from TV shows as well.
No, I'm not saying they should be banned, but I'm saying if you want to bring them up in shows, they should not be the focal point of what you're going to discuss. Like, and especially shows like these, like in toddlers, like it shouldn't be the most important thing, like the most big segment where there's a pride parade. Like if they did like okay, well if there was like a segment where they just showed like straight pride, I would find that cringe as well because I'm like this doesn't matter. Well, no, because I mean, even because being straight is like obviously the norm, quote unquote norm. But
majority, yeah.
So, but whenever they're
the majority,
all right,
I'm pretty sure that couples marrying within their own race is the majority.
All right.
So now, therefore, we cannot show interracial couples.
This is such insane logic. Like what I'm even saying is not even. I'm not even entirely against all of like the points you're making. My entire problem is that I just don't like what they did with the Blue's Clues segment. I just don't like anything really about it.
What you said in the video.
Well, that's why I said in the video is I don't like it. Like I don't like it. And by the way, the only point you were making the entire video.
Degens, trying to make
it does make them look like. It does make them look like.
How is that degenerate? How is that?
Because you're now like showing. Because you're now showing to a bunch of toddlers in a show that has nothing to do about LGBT or really much of anything besides searching for clues. An entire pride parade just thrown in. That is my.
Do you know what degeneracy means?
Yeah, I know what degeneracy means. I'm not. No, what the point? Also, you're misconstruing what I'm trying to say. By the way, you're just misunderstanding my entire point.
Please. What does degeneracy mean?
Oh my god, dude! If you actually let me explain what the point I was even trying to make, then maybe I can give you the definition.
Just please let me know what it means.
Degeneracy is something that can be looked at as like immoral or something is
Yeah,
bad
okay.
or something.
So
Yeah.
how
So,
is it a
well,
pride prey immoral?
no, what I was trying to say, which I guess you just didn't pick up on, is that I disagree with that statement. I was trying to say that whenever they do stuff like this, it gives those insane right-leaning people who go out of their way to attack anything LGBT another excuse to do so. So
Yeah,
that's where my
but
issue
you
lies with this.
but you said it makes them look like degenerates.
But it can make it seem like they are degenerates who's
But
trying to force
conservatives
it
think
in.
gay people are degenerates no matter what.
What?
So it doesn't
No.
matter.
What?
Yeah,
What is this point? What, me saying that them bringing it into a show
because
for
you're
mainly
pandering to
kids?
conservatives.
Okay, so would you say that the entire premise could not come off in any way bad because it is targeted towards five again, like 3 to 5 year olds?
Unless you don't
You
like
could
gay people, there's nothing wrong with it.
what? What
There's
is this point?
nothing wrong with children learning that families could come in all shapes and sizes. Like
Do
I've
you
already
think that?
shown you stuff.
Do you think parents should be teaching this or TV shows should be teaching this?
Why not both?
Okay, why not both? Okay, what? So okay, I mean, in
It
some
doesn't. It's not.
aspects, in
They can
some
both happen.
aspects, I can agree with the TV show talking about it, but I think this should fall to the role of like a parent, or at least some aspects of them becoming open to it. But I think when it becomes a pride parade again for 3 to 5 year olds, I feel like that's
Wait,
just a bit
do
too
you think
much.
pride parades are inherently sexual?
I don't think they're inherent. I mean, they can be. It
Well,
depends
no,
on what type of.
yeah.
They,
So if they can be, that means that it's not inherent.
I mean, I've never said that pride parades were inherently
Yeah,
sexual. I was
I was just
saying,
making sure.
yeah. What I was saying is that this entire like the entire segment was just unnecessary. There was no reason for it to be thrown in.
Well, it's
Like that's.
unnecessary to make anything in Blue's Clues. We don't need Blue Clues.
I mean, all right. So you're just like, no matter what age, they should be exposed to this. Really, it's just your
Yeah,
take.
if there's nothing morally wrong with something, why would we care if it's exposed to children?
All right, all right. I just don't. I just prefer. I don't know. I just wouldn't want a kid coming up and being like, well, if I say, I just wouldn't want them being influenced into a certain different direction than what they already like.
What's the different
Like,
direction? The different
I
direction
mean,
you're
I
talking
wouldn't
about
want
is them
because
accepting gay people.
I mean, I'm
Because
just
they
saying
can't change them to being gay. That's not
because
how it works.
I mean, of course, you can't change being gay if a person becomes gay, but I'd prefer them be at an age where they can at least understand what the term gay means before they actually before they start
Yeah,
having attraction.
so they start learning that some kids have two dads and some kids have two moms, like the Pride Parade and Blue's Clues said.
Okay, and another aspect that we have to also take into account is that that being LGBT is a minority, so it's not gonna always be in your face as it is on social media. Like, yes, they exist,
So is being a racial minority.
true, but I mean,
So
even if they're not
we
in
get
your face,
the brown people are being shoved down our throats. We gotta hide ourselves.
all right, yeah. I mean, you can make a lot of comparisons, but the entire
Yeah,
point I'm
because
trying
there's a
to
lot of minorities.
yeah, hilarious. But no, what I'm trying to say is there's a difference between a black person being on somebody's TV screen and somebody who's gay. When you're black,
How
it's
is it
just like
different?
that's somebody's race, that's their skin color. Like you're not gonna think, okay, oh, well, I don't like that. But whenever you
I
look at
mean, you
something
can, but
when it's LGBT, I mean, you don't. I mean, of course, as you brought up Nico and Nick Fuentes earlier, but when you take something like LGBT, you're taking into aspects that they are attracted to another gender. Like you're taking into aspects that they have at least in some. It's not like you're looking at this person because of their skin color. You're not looking at them like that. You're looking at them because of what they're attracted to.
yeah,
That's what my issue
so
lies.
are
It's like
heterosexual couples.
yeah, and I mean heterosexual couples. I mean, if they're forceful, if they make like an entire 3 minute segment and blues about that, then I'll take your side. But
I mean,
I
in
don't see
children's
that
shows,
happening.
they have families all the time, and they usually have heterosexual couples in that show. So therefore, they are shoving it down our throats and should be stopped.
All right, yeah, okay. If that's how you want to interpret my point, but that's just kind of funny. Like my entire logic is just toddlers don't need to really know about this stuff. I mean, if they don't need to know about any like real attraction. It's
Thing
like they
is,
can have thoughts in their head,
you never
but I
you haven't explained why They shouldn't.
I haven't explained why. When you were 5, were you thinking sexually? Like, were you thinking all this different,
When I was
stuff?
well, not when I was 5, but when I was 6, because I was held back a year when I was really young for something unrelated to stuff. So when I was 6, in kindergarten, I did have a crush. Yes.
Okay, and when you had a crush, but did you understand what those feelings were at the time?
No. So therefore, we should better help
So
children
you
understand.
admit that you had a crush, right? And you admit that you had at least some feelings, but you were not of the age to where you could comprehend those feelings.
Because I
So,
wasn't really told about that kind of stuff.
but
Other
yeah, you
than,
weren't again.
yeah.
But yeah, you didn't understand them, and there was no way you could have understood them, even
So
if
we
you were
should help
explained.
children. So we should help children
But
understand
how
in
do we
TV
help
shows. We could help
children?
children understand in TV shows.
But how? Okay, but if they can't understand it at all, even if they're told about it, then how can a TV show change that?
Well, you just try your best to explain it to them.
But
If they don't
that's where
understand,
the
if
issue
they don't
lies.
understand, if they
Then
don't understand them, then you lose nothing, you gain nothing. And
okay,
if they do
so then
understand, you
there's
gain something.
well then that just means there's no real point in that whole segment then, because the kids wouldn't have been able to understand it in the first place, which plays into why again it should have been for teens. It should have been that
I
it's for
mean,
people who can comprehend this stuff instead of it
well,
going to
if
people.
well, we should teach the children if they don't understand something, we should teach them to understand it.
But if you, oh my god, okay, so you're telling me I should sit down with my 5-year-old and explain like the concept of LGBT to them and
Yeah,
hope
all you
that they
gotta
come
say is
away
some
with it
men
in
like
some
other
regard?
some men have little crushes on other men, and some women have crushes on other men.
But why would you want to like enforce? Why would you want to like tell a kid of that age that?
So they can understand the world better.
It's in the world better, but again, we're talking about like it's not like you're gonna walk.
Do you want to like just lock a child in a box and say, "Oh,
No,
you can't learn
no,
about the world yet. You're not 15."
no. I'm saying that it should at least be like the earliest I would say is probably like when they're like maybe like 10 or like 9 or something like around that age where they at least actually might have some semblance of understanding it instead of it being 5, 3, 2. Like I just feel like when it gets to that young of an age, I just feel like it doesn't matter to teach them this.
Well,
And so I'm just like,
yeah, it doesn't matter to teach them. You don't have to watch Blue Clues. Like it doesn't truly
I
matter.
don't.
Like you could
I
just do
was
it
just.
yourself.
Well, I just went onto a video, and your entire video is like he's anti-gay people. And in actuality, it could just be as simple as he just didn't like what Blue's Clues did and
Except
found it
he
to
called
be
it gross
unnecessary.
and said that he called it like gross and stuff.
I mean, would you? Okay, I mean, I guess he was being over exaggeration as commentary channels often are. But would you not? Would you not also see where he could come across and see it as gross? Because again,
No,
it's
because there's
for
nothing wrong with
toddlers.
it. If you show children something that's not something that isn't morally wrong, why would it? Why would I think that it's gross and wrong?
All right, okay. I'm gonna bring up like a more extreme example. All right, so of course, sex is a thing that exists. But you can still understand that kids can have attractions to like one another. Would you show a kid like sex in all or any way, or would you be like, no, I'm not gonna expose them to
No,
this type of stuff?
okay, so what you do at first is you explain how some people like each other, have crushes and stuff, and then eventually you get into sex ed, which should be taught in schools.
Yeah. All right. So you would agree that they should be brought up later. So, what would you not also take into account that
Because,
when you talk?
but what I said, it is really important to let children know about like this kind of stuff because, so they can know when they are being abused.
I'm not okay. I'll have to. I'll give you one thing. I don't agree. Okay, I don't want parents enforcing values onto kids because if I mean it's shocking.
That's how you
But
raise
I
a
know, no,
child.
I
You
meant
give them
like I mean you raise
values.
a child, you get no, I know, not like that, dude. Come on.
Don't steal.
No,
Don't kill.
I meant
Don't.
give them values, give them opinions. But I mean, when it comes to stuff like LGBT, then really at the like a lot of parents are like anti it.
So you
So
don't want them to teach that it's okay to be gay.
I don't want them to teach that it's okay to be like straight. I don't want them to be
But it
like I would want it.
is. It's not morally wrong to be gay or straight.
Okay, so I mean, if they want to teach it, then they should go about it in a respectful way than doing like 1,000 pride flags on a screen and saying, "Oh, look at this" to
What was
like
not
literal
respectful on
3-year-olds.
that parade?
Literally everything, in my opinion.
That doesn't answer the question. What?
Okay, what I find not to be respectful is knowing that these are kids who are going to be influenced by what they are watching, and rather than go about it, or maybe they have like some serious conversation, it is instead now painted to be this enthusiastic, like happy thing
So,
that shouldn't be.
you're mad that a goofy little children's show is goofy.
No, I'm mad that a children's show meant to be goofy is now trying to bring in serious topics about what is okay to be attracted to literal 3-year-olds.
You do not think it's possible for little children's shows just like cover serious topics, even it quote unquote serious topics. In reality, all it's saying is, hey, some moms are gay, some dads are gay. They all love each other though, so it's all cool. And some disabled people exist.
I just don't think that it's like I just don't agree with like how they went about it. I mean, I just disagree with it.
Okay, so
It again,
there's just no getting to you because like you just think, oh, it's bad because it's bad.
no, it's not. I mean, you could say it's just bad, but I'm saying that even if the kid can come away from it understanding it, it's still not gonna. Like again, I just wouldn't want a kid. Okay, again, I keep asking, but you just don't really have. I don't know if you have like the answer, but whenever it comes to like if they identify at least in some attraction, like if they went up, like if you had a kid and they went up and said, "Oh, I'm attracted to another guy," like would you just be like,
I
"Okay,
wouldn't be
that's,"
surprised. Little kids have little crushes all the time.
but so you would just see it as like it's a normal thing
Yeah, I
and not.
would because being gay is normal.
I'm just asking like in the context of that they're like 3 or 5, so that's
Yeah,
all I'm
if a
really just.
little child says, "Oh, I have a little crush on another," well, then like children are dumb. They're not gonna say it like in this way. Uh, but if they say they have a crush on someone of the same gender, I'm not gonna care. The same as if
I
they
mean,
say it's the opposite gender, I'm not gonna care.
most likely, I probably wouldn't. But it's like when it comes to if they got this idea from like Blue's Clues or got this idea in their head that like, oh, hey, look at this. That now I'm gonna identify with this. That's where my issue really lies. I
But
just think,
you could say that for straight and cis people as well.
wow. I mean, true. You can say for both regards. I think that in both contexts, it should be. We shouldn't be trying to forcefully and put it in people's faces. Like
But
again,
but forcibly literally just means having them there. Having
having
them
them.
there
Okay, and it would be different if it was just this woman. Like if there was no parade, right? And it was just a woman on screen being like, "You see, look at like there's many different." Like it would be like she just went step by step, or maybe explained it,
Wait,
and
so
there was no parade, nothing.
are you literally just mad that there's floats?
No, I'm not mad that it was floats. I'm mad that it was turned into some type of celebration or some type of enthusiastic
Yeah, they're
thing
like,
thrown
hey,
in.
look, these families love each other. You should love your family. Let's go. That
Yeah,
was
you
the
should love
song.
your family. Yeah, right. I mean, you're just not gonna even be honest. This is
No,
not.
that
This
was
is
literally the song. They're
dishonest.
like, oh, this person has two moms. That's awesome. They love each other. That's cool. This person has two
And
dads. They
an
love each other.
entire like
Yeah, they're
celebration.
celebrating the fact that they love each other.
But why does it even need to be that big, that necessary? It shouldn't
Because
even
it's really important to love your family.
important to, I mean, okay, so if it was about the aspects of loving your family, then there was no need really to bring up LGBT. They could have just had it where
Yes,
like,
there is those families exist. In fact,
but
they
again,
even
like,
have a different a family that's made up of different species as well.
okay, and so, but just more often than not is like when you bring up the interracial example earlier, if it's somebody who's black and white, like you're gonna notice because you can like ask them. But when it's somebody who's like, gay or bi, etc., it's like most likely that's just their attraction. As
I mean,
Cheetah was saying, is
actually,
like it's
I would have to disagree with that. I have a Latino father and a white mother, but I look white, so you wouldn't be able to tell by looking at me. But it's still true about me.
true, but okay, that's fair. That's a fair point. But What I'm trying to say is when it comes to stuff like interracial, it's like you can look at the parents, or you can at least like if you somewhat ask. But when it comes to being like gay or being like bi, it's like it is inherently about attraction. So when you tell a kid that, oh, I'm attracted to this, then the question will be, okay, in what way, and
Yeah,
how
so
exactly
no,
do you
yeah, so
navigate
so
that?
what they say is, "Ooh, I have a boyfriend," or "Ooh, I have a husband." That's how you explain it to children, just like Blue's Clues said.
And Blue's Clues again. Why is
In
Blue's
the clip, they
Clues?
were literally just saying, "Oh, look at these families. They love each other. Look at this little. This one has two dads. This one
But
has
why
two
is
moms."
Blue's Clues the show to do this?
It's not just Blue's
Like,
Clues.
where's?
This is just
But
the example Cheeto happened to get mad at.
all right. I mean, that's fair. I mean, if there are many different examples, then I'll have to
Yeah,
see. But
there's gay children, there's gay not gay children. I meant to say gay people and gay. I mean, there are, but like they. I meant to say there are gay people in children show all the time.
like, I'm not anti. I'm not gonna be like this. I'm not gonna go as far as like a Cheeto and be like I found that whole. I even agreed like that. It was point was dumb. Like people with kids
Yeah, it
will
was your
see
one good
kids with
point.
disabilities. I mean, yeah. So I just think when it comes to this topic and it comes to like this like being in the context it is, I just really think that it should be more not as energetic because again it's just attraction. If it's something that's natural and normal, then it doesn't need to be overblown and it doesn't really need like a 3 minute segment because if
But
it's just natural then
yeah, if it's just natural and normal, so like let's just be chill and vibe,
yeah, like so
which is
if they
what they
had it like
did.
where
Like they were like, oh yeah, let's go. We're having so much fun. We just love each other and we don't hate each other and everything's awesome. And they're
I
just disabled
I
people.
I just think my main issue always just really boiled down to is like should this become the norm in shows for toddlers, and that's
Why
really
shouldn't it
where
be? Why should it?
why
Why shouldn't it be?
like so these serious topics should be nonstop discussed and shows where it's really
It's
just
not being nonstop discussed. It was a single 3 minute
well no I
section
meant
in one
single three
episode
minute
of a show.
single 3 minute clip, but you say there are many different examples where there's gay people in kids shows,
Yeah.
and so but I'm
Well, I mean,
saying
you
would you
brought one
say
up, the Owl House. There's gay people in that show,
yeah but
and that one's even more prevalent.
yeah, and that, again, I say that's like the best example of how it should go about it. Like it should be this natural, like not like it didn't seem like it was placed there just for the sake of like getting their points by corporations who don't care about LGBT. It just seemed like it was
You
this
under
thing that
I'm just gonna say, Owl House is made by Disney, right?
yeah no that's like the most ironic part ever. I'm not even gonna lie, that's like the most ironic part. I don't get how Disney even let that show pass,
I mean,
but
there's a reason why they canceled it after three
yeah
seasons because they
exactly
don't like gay
yeah
people because they have a
yeah.
market to make.
No, I meant like more so the writers would probably
No,
be more for it.
yeah, the writers are horrible, but
Yeah, that's what I more so meant. Like, but
I also
still,
like the
it
Blue's
didn't.
Clues writers. Those people are awesome. I love Blue's Clues.
All right, I don't think we're gonna really get anywhere with
Yeah, I
this.
don't
Like, I
think
just don't
either
see us getting
because
there.
I don't think you understand what any of this
All
means.
right, I just think that you have like we have a difference of opinion. I mean, really, that's how I put it.
Yeah,
Like,
my opinion's correct. Okay, that's the end of it. He acknowledged we can't go anywhere. Yeah.
Socialism is when the government does stuff. And it's more socialism the more stuff it does. And if it does a real lot of stuff, it's communism.